6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is a news edited by Lal Mallavarachi and read by J. Yogaraj. First headlines. The President pledges swift relief to all eligible Aswesma beneficiaries. Nearly 250,000 applications received for the second stage of Aswesma program. Services of the Motor Traffic Department will be digitized from Monday. UN Population Fund to assist Sri Lanka to modernize statistical system to move towards digital economy. Former Finance Minister Ronnie Dimmer's funeral at Rukunu University today. Sri Lanka signs security pact with US to prevent illicit maritime trafficking in nuclear and radioactive material. News overseas: at least 43 dead in Dhaka building blaze. In sports, this year's National Sports Festival will be held at renovated Bernard Aluvihare Stadium in Matale. And those are the headlines. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has emphasized that swift relief would be provided to all eligible Aswesma beneficiaries while stressing the importance of the government officials' support in effectively delivering the Aswesma and Urime benefits to the people. He made these observations during a meeting at the Matale Bilgamur Divisional Secretariat on the Aswesma program implementation yesterday. Meanwhile, State Ministry of Finance says nearly 250,000 applications received requesting benefits from the second stage of Aswesma program. These applications are being uploaded to the relevant app online. The closing date of the receiving application is on the 15th of this month. Minister of Transport Dr. Bandula Gunawardena said the services of the Department of Motor Traffic will be digitized from March 4th, 2024. Addressing the media yesterday, the minister said following the digitization process, the public will not be required to visit the Department of Motor Traffic. He further said that a mobile application will be introduced for this purpose, while the public can also book their appointments via the Department of Motor Traffic's official website. The minister further said, as part of the first phase of the digitization program, the mobile application and website will be used to reserve a date and time to obtain services. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. United Nations Population Fund Asia Pacific Regional Director Pio Smith called on Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena at the Temple Trees yesterday. The Prime Minister thanked the UNFPA for the support extended during the last 50 years to several areas, including the plans to modernize Sri Lanka's statistical system and upgrading of population data system. The UPFPA regional director assured continuous support to upgrade data systems to move towards the digital economy. He expressed interest in assisting programs to enhance collaboration at the national level and advocate for the rights of the women and girls. He said he visited Kilnochi recently to assess the issues faced by communities at grassroots level, and there he noted with satisfaction the measures taken with regard to gender violence in homes and outside. The funeral of former Finance Minister Ronnie Dimmer will take place at the Rukunu University grounds today at 4:30 p.m. Rukunu University Vice Chancellor Senior Professor Sujiva Amrasena, Deputy Vice-Chancellor Professor Samath Chandana Edirveera will accept the remains and place the coffin in a hall near the university's indoor stadium as per his last will. The former minister had visited the place where his remains needs to be kept in person in 2018. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, on behalf of his father Philip Gunawardena and opposition leader Sajid Premadasa, are expected to render special speeches at the funeral as per his last will. Sri Lanka has signed a nuclear security pact with the United States to detect and interdict illicit trafficking in special nuclear material and other radioactive materials as part of the efforts to address the growing global security threats. The Sri Lankan Navy signed the Memorandum of Understanding with the U.S. National Nuclear Security Administration at the Navy headquarters recently. The MOU was signed at the presence of U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Julie Chung, and the commander of the Sri Lankan Navy, Vice Admiral Priyantha Perera. U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung says the new MOU between Sri Lanka Navy and U.S. Department of Energy's National Nuclear Security Administration will bolster joint efforts to prevent illicit maritime trafficking in nuclear and radioactive materials. And that's local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Sri Lanka has lauded with the prestigious World Restoration Flagship Award by the United Nations Environment Programme for its remarkable efforts in renovating mangrove ecosystems. The announcement was made during the 6th session of the United Nations Environment Assembly, emphasizing Sri Lanka's pivotal role in pioneering effective solutions for ecosystem, crucial to sustaining both lives and livelihoods nationwide. At the UNEA 6 conference held at the headquarters of the United Nations Environment Programme in Nairobi, Kenya.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the National Sexually Transmitted Diseases and AIDS Prevention Program says that the reporting of new HIV infections has increased by 14.3%. This is higher in 2023 compared to 2022. Director Dr. Chanaki Vidhanapathiran, a community medicine specialist, said. She said that last year 694 new HIV-infected people were identified. Most of them were men, and the number is 611, which is a percentage is 88% last year. 81 HIV-infected women were reported, which is 11.7% as a percentage, and it is also reported that there are 4,100 infected people in the society. Doctors said that if a person is infected with the virus, it takes about 8 years for symptoms to show.
Coming up, world news.
First headlines, at least 43 dead in Dhaka building blaze. More than 100 reported killed in crowd near Gaza aid in convoy. 2 Indian children ran away and it took them 13 years to get home again. And those are the headlines. At least 43 people have been killed after a fire broke out in a multi-storied building in Bangladesh, the country's health minister says. According to local media, the blaze began in a restaurant late night in the capital Dhaka. It spread quickly through the building, trapping dozens of people. The fire was later brought under control, according to fire officials, and the cause is being investigated. At least 112 Palestinians are said to have been killed and 760 injured trying to get desperately needed aid in Gaza. Crowds descended on a convoy of lorries on the coastal road southwest of Gaza City in the presence of the Israeli tanks. Israel's military say tanks fired warning shots but did not strike the convoy. Some Palestinians say troops fired directly at them. A Palestinian witness told BBC most of those who died had been run over as lorry drivers tried to move forward. On a hot summer day in June 2010, 2 Indian children upset with their parents for hitting them left home. The siblings, 11-year-old Rakhi and 7-year-old Bablu, planned to go to their maternal grandparents who lived just a kilometer away, but a few wrong turns and they were lost. It's taken them more than 13 years to find their way back, with a lot of help from the children or the child rights activist to their mother Neetu Kumari. And that's world news. Development news. A project to rehabilitate 1,500 kilometers of roads across the country started at a divisional secretariat level at a cost of 20 billion rupees yesterday. The aim of this project is to restore the road system that has been seriously damaged due to a non-repair as a result of the COVID-19 epidemic and the economic crisis that prevailed in the last 3 years in the country. And that came to you in Development News.
Moving on with sports news.
Sports Minister Harin Fernando says that this year's National Sports Festival will be held at the renovated Bernard Aluvihare Stadium in Matale. At the opening of the newly renovated stadium on Wednesday, Sports Minister further said that he remembered that twice in 1982 and 2005 National Sports Festival was held at this stadium with less facilities. The Sports Ministry has spent about 48 million rupees to reconstruct this stadium, he added. And that came to you in sports.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The overall rate of inflation as measured by the Colombo Consumer Price Index on a year-on-year basis has further decreased to 5.9% in February compared to the previous month. The CCPI-based inflation was calculated as 6.4% for the month of January 2024. According to the latest report issued by the Department of Census and Statistics, the inflation for all items for the month of February has decreased from 200.7 to 200.6 points, indicating a percentage change from 6.4% to 5.9% from January 2024.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, Sri Lanka and Romania have discussed cooperation and investment in new areas and an agreement to prevent double taxation. Discussions were held between Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and Romanian Ambassador Dona Steluza on long-term bilateral relations and economic cooperation between the two countries, as well as the steps to be taken to reach investments in new areas. The ambassador said that Romania will sign an agreement with Sri Lanka to further speed up the trade process and prevent double taxation. And that came to you in economic news. Weather report. The Met Department says a few showers may occur in the eastern and Uva provinces and in Polonnaru and Matale districts. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in the western and Sabaragamu provinces and in Galle, Matra and Nuwara Eliya districts on the evening or night. Fairly strong winds, about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times in the northern, north-central, northwestern, Uva and eastern provinces and in Hambantota district. And that was the weather report. To wind up this news broadcast, let's look at the main points once again. The President pledges swift relief to all eligible Aswesima beneficiaries. Nearly 250,000 applications received for the second stage of the Aswesima program. Services of the Motor Traffic Department will be digitized from Monday. UN Population Fund to assist Sri Lanka to modernize statistical system to move towards the digital economy. Former Finance Minister Ronnie Dimmer's funeral at Ruhuna University today. Sri Lanka signed security pact with the US to prevent illicit maritime trafficking in nuclear and radioactive materials. News overseas, at least 43 dead in Dhaka building blaze. In sports, this year's National Sports Festival will be held at the renovated Bernard Aluvihare Stadium in Matale. And with that, we conclude this morning news broadcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.